Let's make it do what it do, what it do. If you're on everybody and let them know your boy Ramonepreston and my squad, we are live right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. This is the day, the Wednesday, January 4th, 2020. We're excited about today's show. Please hit the like button, hit the share button, tag Lolly Dolly everybody and let them know that we are live. And put in the comments what city you're watching me from. I know I'm a few minutes behind. For those of you that were waiting for me to come live, thank you for your patience. Thank you for joining the Ramonepreston show. Again, just put in the comments what city you're watching your boy from, who you're representing today. It's 4 days into the new year. My hope and expectation is that this new year has been amazing for you. And even if you've fallen off, just like my personal assistant, she reminded me, she said, uh-oh, you're a few minutes late on the show today. And guess what I told her? So it is what it is. I beat the sun up today. This is 4 days straight doing what I need to do. So even in the midst of you putting your goals and all your dreams together, whatever those things are that you've put together to accomplish in 2023, you're going to have bumps in the road. You're going to have some roadblocks. You're going to have some things that come up that's going to challenge you. Just like today, I was challenged to get here on time, to be here for the show. And guess what? I was 10 minutes late, but I'm here. And so we're going to make up for whatever lost time we have. All right? So please hit the like button, hit the share button. Put in the comments what city you're watching me from. It's been raining literally all night and all morning here. It started yesterday, I believe. It was raining. So we had a lot of heavy rain, thunderstorms. We had tornado watches that have come through certain areas of Metro Atlanta. So if for some reason, you know, there's a glitch with the internet, with the Wi-Fi, just understand that we're in the middle of some storms here in Metro Atlanta, but we're still showing up, all right? So welcome to the Ramonepreston show. Just in case you don't know, now you know. My name is Ramonepreston. I'm the host of the Ramonepreston show, and every Monday through Friday, even when I'm a few minutes late, we show up here in or around 12 o'clock noon Eastern Standard Time to share information with you that we know you can use to properly start, properly structure, and properly scale any business, any ministry, any income stream, any wealth building dream. So it really doesn't matter where you are on the spectrum of business, finance, success, financial freedom, wealth building, ministry, leadership. We have a lot of information that we provide on this show to help you in every capacity. And so yesterday, I started with this discussion on the 10 power moves you should be making this year. And I gave you the first 5. So just in case you missed yesterday's show, before I give you the next 5, here are the first 5 power moves for the new year. These are the first five power moves that you should be making for the new year. We got a lot of great feedback from many of you yesterday, and I appreciate all the feedback. I appreciate all of you for really leaning in and making a commitment this year to just focus on your business, your finances, and put a solid infrastructure together. All right. So the first 5 power moves for the new year. Number 1 was, and still is, to set big goals. We talked about that yesterday. Set big goals. My personal recommendation is that you set ultimate goals, maybe 15 to 20 years. Then you set midterm goals, maybe 5, 10, and then you set yearly goals for your personal life and even for your business or your organization as a whole. One of the reasons why I like for you to go out 15 to 20 years is because I want you to approach every day based on an ultimate goal that you've reversed engineered. I don't want you to just wake up feeling like you chasing after something that you can't never catch. I want you to go out into the future, set the goal, sit in that goal, dream about that goal, come back, figure out the math, the numbers, the analytics, the metrics behind it, so that you could put a good plan together. Number 2, save and store income. Your income is by far your number 1 wealth building tool. So I'm not saying not to focus on debt, collections, bills, and budgets, but what I'm saying is too many people focus on debt and credit reports and getting a credit score up and paying off collections and setting a good budget. Too many people focus on those things and they don't focus enough time on income, especially if you're an entrepreneur. You can't be focusing on all this other stuff and you ain't focusing on income. Keep the main thing the main thing. Number 3, start and structure a business. So I believe that every business owner, even if you have an operating business, should own a holding company, which means that your holding company would own your operating business, because this is how you're going to accumulate assets under your organization, build an enterprise, and hopefully you are moving towards creating other wealth building opportunities under your organization. If you don't have a business, number 3, start and structure would refer to you taking products and services that a business owner has and you building your business activity around somebody else's business. So I'm not saying you don't have to own a business, but if you work for somebody who owns a business and they're successful and the business is growing, then you take the products and services and you use them as a business. Number 4, brand, market, message. You got to brand yourself. One of the things that I work with my clients on regularly, especially my coaching clients, is how to build the infrastructure for your business, but build your brand into it. So that goes with what you name your business, what your logo is, if it's a consistent brand identity, what type of persona you want your business to have, and your marketing is going to play into your branding. So for example, if you out there marketing, you trying to run ads, you trying to, do landing pages, you trying to hack certain platforms, but you don't really have a brand identity or persona, you're probably confused in your marketing and you might not even be marketing correctly. And that means your message is not going to be consistent because you don't know who your perfect client profile is. Number 5, sell something. You got to sell. You got to close deals. Sales is senior to all this other stuff we do. I talk to entrepreneurs every day as a business consultant and coach who only focusing on their websites. They're focusing on their logo. They're focusing on getting a domain, getting an email address. They're focusing on a color scheme. They're focusing on making sure their brochures are right. And I'm like, when you gonna sell something? You get what I'm saying? You gotta sell something. So those are the first 5 power moves for the new year. I want to go right into the second 5 power moves, which, by the way, all of the power moves that I'm sharing with you, I have courses and programs built around. So if for some reason you have an issue or you're struggling with any of these, whether it's setting goals, saving income because you don't know enough about money and financial literacy, you don't have a lot of creative cash flow strategies, you don't know how to make money, maybe you want to start a holding company or structure your company with systems and processes. Maybe you have issues with branding and making sure that your brand identity is consistent with what you want to introduce to the market. Maybe you're not properly positioned in your business as an expert, or maybe you just have an issue selling. You don't have a sales system, you don't have a sales process, you don't have a script. We have courses with all this information. We got videos, we got documents, we got forms, and we have programs that we can coach you and mentor you through all of these areas here. So let's get to the final 5 power moves, 6 through 10. 6 through 10. I gave you the first 5. So number 6, the 6th power move for the new year is, and I'll explain it, to beat the sun up. Beat the sun up. All right? Beat the sun up. Now, I want to explain this a little bit because beating the sun up doesn't necessarily mean you have to literally beat the sun up, because you might work a graveyard shift. You might work, 12 at night to 8 in the morning, 11 at night to 7 in the morning. Maybe you work at 7 at night to 3 in the morning. But if you have a regular schedule, like most Americans do, guess what? Then this may be your general rule to learn how to beat the sun up. Get disciplined to beat the sun up. So if you don't have a regular schedule, that means you work night shift, then this literally doesn't apply to you, because you're just getting home at 5 o'clock in the morning or 6. But if you got a regular schedule, if you work 6 to 2 or 5 to 1, or if you work 8 to 4 or 9 to 5, come on. If you work 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., you have no reason not to beat the sun up, unless you just don't have the right goals. All right. So this is a power move for the new year. Beating the sun up is about being consistent. Beating the sun up is about being consistent. Okay? It's about a daily schedule. It's about filling up white space on your calendar. This is what beating the sun up is about. Now, let me share something with you, because this is my personal story here. Most of my adult life and most of my entrepreneurial life, I was a night person. So let's just use my entrepreneur life. I started as an entrepreneur 20 years ago. Really 21, 22 years ago, but me and my wife, we got married 20 years ago, and that's when we went full-time entrepreneurship. I had a partner with me, and I was free because she was helping me and making my life easier to do it. So let's just use the last 20 years. So I've been a full-time entrepreneur for 20 years. Most of those 20 years, I was a night person, and I was convinced that God gave me an anointing to be up at night. I was like the prophet, the watchman on the wall. I didn't feel like I was creative until it was like 2 or 3 in the morning. And so I want to show you this, and I want you to see how powerful this is. It wasn't until 5 years ago, 2018, I started feeling like it was something wrong with me waking up sporadically. I wasn't consistent. Some days I wake up at 10 a.m., some days 12, because I may go to bed 4 or 5 in the morning. Some days I go to bed early, wake up early. It was just so sporadic. I wasn't consistent. I didn't have a daily schedule, and I wasn't filling up all my white space. And I felt some days that I was doing more by the time I went to bed around 4 or 5 a.m. than I would during the day. And 5 years ago, around 2018, I started reading books and studying wealthy people, learning more about the psychology and even the practice behind waking up in the morning, beating the sun up, and trying to figure out if this was a thing or if this was just something that, people were talking about. And I realized that most of the successful people I studied, they beat the sun up. They got up early in the morning. They started their days, and they had a daily schedule, and their calendars were filled. They didn't have a lot of white space. In other words, they were responsible for their time. They were very intentional. They were very strategic. And so I set out at the beginning of 2019. I made a commitment that, after December the 31st, 2018, this was 4 years ago, I said I was going to start beating the sun up. And the first 30 days were like the worst, but I did it. I beat the sun up every day. I got up. I had a daily schedule. I started filling my calendar up, all the white spaces, and started being intentional and strategic. And I want to show you something. I haven't been perfect the last 4 years, okay? So 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, the last 4 years out of my 20 years, I have lived by this principle, by this standard to beat the sun up. I haven't been perfect because, you know, I've had issues with my health within these 4 years. I had a bad accident where I had a 3rd grade concussion, was hospitalized, was in therapy for a year and a half. I've had all kind of stuff going on. I've been on vacations within the last 4 years. So I've had times where I didn't beat the sun up. But even though I haven't been perfect, I haven't been flawless the last 4 years, I've been consistent. So even if I'm off a week because I go on vacation and I sleep in every day, when I come back, I have a muscle built. Or even if I have 1 or 2 days that I'm just loafing because I can afford to do it based on being an entrepreneur for the last 20 years and having a business and having a team and having some success, I've earned that if I want to do it. But my point is, I've been consistent enough. And I'm telling you, out of the last 20 years that I've been a full-time entrepreneur, most of my success has come from the last 4. So think about that. The first 16 years of my 20 years of being a full-time entrepreneur, I was seeing sporadic wins. I saw the potential for success, but it's really come in the last 4, which happens to be the same 4 years that I started living by this principle. Because I read enough and studied enough and researched enough to realize this was a missing link. And so even if you work a graveyard shift or if you work in the wee hours of the morning, then you can still use this principle. Let's say, for example, if your day starts at 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., give yourself a couple hours to wake up early and then you start your day. But you just need to be consistent with that every day and not jump around and be sporadic, because your consistency is really going to help you develop the discipline for this. If you do not work at night, I'm telling you, especially if you're an entrepreneur, a lot of your success is locked in you beating the sun up. And I'm a guinea pig. I'm the poster child. Think about it. I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years. I started this 4 years ago. So that's a 16-year window that I wasn't doing it out of the 20. Most of my success, financial freedom, a millionaire mogul, hood figure to 7 figures, everything you see today me doing, most of this success is within the last 4 years, because I know it had a lot to do with that. Because now, before the sun comes up, I study, I train, I pray, I go over my goals, exercise sometime. I'm not consistent with my exercise, and take my vitamins. I do everything. I get mine before the sun comes up, so that when I go hard all day, I go harder because I've already gotten mine. I'm telling you, this is a game changer. You got to get disciplined to do this, especially if you want to be a millionaire. Now, if you don't want to be a millionaire, if you don't want to be wealthy, and you might find some people, but the number of people that I have found who are extremely successful, who don't have a daily schedule, who don't fill their white space up, and who are not consistent with something like beating the sun up or getting up at a certain time every morning, they're few. They're far in between. Most of the successful people get up early. They beat the sun up. They have a routine. They have a schedule. They're consistent, and they're intentional with everything that they do. All right? Power move number 7. Power move number 7. Be committed and creative. This is a power move. Be committed and creative. Now, why am I talking about commitment and creative at power move number 6, or number 7 rather? Well, here's why. Commitment is really internal. Commitment is really internal. Commitment is something that you have to have internalized in you, like something has to wake up in you. And your commitment has to be tied into your why, not necessarily your what, if that makes sense. Okay? So when you think about commitment, I want you to think about the why, not necessarily the what. I'm not talking about the what. So I'm not just, like, for example, I'm not just committed to what I do every day. Okay, I run a business, I'm a coach, I'm a trainer, I'm an educator, I'm a teacher, I'm a preacher, you know, I'm an entrepreneur, you know, I'm in real estate, all these things. My commitment ain't really to them as much as it is to why am I doing these things? Why am I waking up early every morning? Why am I taking vitamins? Why do I work out sporadically? Why do I show up to my office? Why do I keep investing in my business? Why do I stay on social media so much? Why am I doing this? My commitment is really not to the what, it's really to the why. So you have to be committed to the why. What is the bigger picture? What is the bigger purpose for why you're doing what you're doing? And it can't just be money. That's where a lot of people get it mixed up for me, especially in the faith community, because when you look at a preacher like me, somebody who's committed to God, committed to ministry, committed to the church, committed to preaching like I have been for over 20 years, sometimes you get it twisted thinking, wow, are you just about money? Or are you about God? No, I'm about God. And that's one of the reasons why I'm about money, because I know in order for me to get my why accomplished, I need the what. But I'm not necessarily committed to the what as much as I'm committed to the why. And here's what you're going to find out. When you start committing to the why you wake up, why you got to wake up, why you got to beat the sun up, why do you have to set goals, why do you have to do the math, why do you have to educate, why do you have to get a coach like Ramon, why do you have to join a program like the Millionaire Blueprint, why do you need to do all this stuff? When you get committed to the why, guess what's going to happen? It's going to change your what. And it's going to activate your creativity. Your creativity follows your commitment. Most people who are not creative, they're not committed to nothing. Get committed to something and watch how your creativity change. Listen, if you have a question or some feedback or a big takeaway from what I've shared with you just within the last two power moves, I want you to put it in the comments, okay? I would love to know what you think about what I'm saying, because I know you might agree with what I'm saying. So you got to be committed to the why. And when you get committed to the why, it changes how you do the what, because your creativity is going to explode. It activates creativity. Okay? So that's power move number 7. Power move number 8. Power move number 8. It's one word. Pivot. This is a power move. You got to learn how to pivot. You got to learn how to pivot. That means if you're in a business that ain't making no money, that ain't moving. I was just telling one of my team members yesterday, I've got 2 programs that I'm not scrapping them. I'm just pivoting in them because they really didn't do a whole lot last year. So out of all my programs that I have, okay, I've got 2 programs that really didn't do a lot. They really did little to nothing. They didn't impress me at all. So these 2 programs, guess what I have to do? I've got to pivot those into something else. I've got to create something else from those 2 programs because they ain't making no money. So if you're committed to an idea, and this goes all across the board, especially in your business, you might have a name for your business that ain't working. It ain't resonating with people. Too many people. This is why you need to do research and development, and this is why you need systems and processes so that you can document and track what's working and what's not working. So see, I go back. I can go back all last year and look at what programs worked, what programs didn't work, what resonated the most, what didn't resonate, what emails worked, what didn't work, what posts work, what videos work, what events work. I go back and look at all my stuff because I document everything. I track the data, right? And so when I look at it, I saw, oh, I got 2 programs that they're dead. They're just sitting. They're just holding names and space in my company and they not doing nothing. So guess what I have to do? I can't be married to the idea of 2 programs. You can't be married to a name or to some way of doing business, or maybe a product or a service that you have that ain't working. You got to pivot. It might be your whole business you need to pivot out of. You might be in the wrong industry. You might be in the wrong field. I remember one time I talked to a client of mine and they told me what they wanted to do and what they were doing and how they wanted to do it. And I said, well, let's do the math. When we started doing the math, I was like, you just can't make that kind of money doing that. Like, do you know anybody that's making that kind of money? And then when they started naming some organizations that were making that kind of money, I'm like, you're way far from them. You're not going to be able to do that at this level. You got to switch it up. And they didn't take my advice. And guess what? They not in business, at least not the way I told them they could be in business. And I've seen this dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of times. I mean, with hundreds of people that I've talked to, consulted, coached, given the game to, and they just go do what they want to do. Like sometimes I be on social media and I see people that I've talked to in passing or may have paid for a coaching session and they never came back, or they joined my program and then they got out of my program because they wasn't ready to be committed. They wasn't ready to be consistent. They just wasn't ready for that level of accountability. But then I watch and see what they're doing and I'm like, you're doing the same thing I told you not to do when I was coaching you. But of course you're doing it now because you don't have a coach. Anyway, you got to pivot. Okay? You got to pivot. You got to be willing to pivot. Listen to this. Be willing and ready to move to what's next and to what's working. So pivot. This is what you got to do. When you pivot, this is what you got to do, okay? You got to be willing. Come on, baby. Don't start messing up on me now. Let me do it again. You have to be willing to do what's next. That's the key word. And what's working. Does that make sense to you? You got to be willing to do what's next. So what's next for your business? You shouldn't be doing the same thing. You should be moving forward. You got to be willing to do what's working. So when I look at my business, my team don't have to tell me what's not working. I mean, I appreciate when they see something I don't, but I'm probably going to be the first one to tell them, hey, this ain't working. We finna shift it. We finna switch it. We finna do something different. At least we gonna try something. But what we ain't gonna do is just stay stuck. All right. So that's number 8 rather. Number 9, power move number 9. Power move number 9. This is a big one here. You need to find and align. Find and align. This is what one of my mentors talk about all the time. You gotta find and align. What do you mean by find and align? You need to find a mentor. Another word for it is a coach. You need to find a community of people who think like you, and you need to align. That means you need to connect. And in order to connect, let me be honest with you. You have to be willing to pay the price. Stop being cheap. Someone sent me an email the other day. Somebody sent me an email. They must have been on my email list for the last couple years. They sent me this cold, shady email talking about, oh, I talked to you a couple years ago and you know your prices are still too high. If you're talking about you're going to help the community and help God's people and be a blessing, blah, 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 you need to come down on your prices. I emailed them back personally. I didn't even let my administrator email them back. I emailed them back and said, give me a call. I still ain't heard from them. Maybe you're watching it. Give me a call so we can discuss your idea of my prices being too high. Because if you've been around me for 3 years and you can't show me receipts that your life or business and finances are better today than they were 3 years ago, and you ain't did no business with me, you haven't bought one product, one service, you haven't joined one program, I probably haven't even seen you at one of my free events in the last 3 years, you don't even have the right to complain or to object about my prices being too high when you've never paid the price. So you don't know if they're too high. You're just assuming they're too high. But this is what most people do. They sit on the sideline and watch people like me, and they think everybody is a scam artist. They think everybody's trying to get over on them because they have this in their mind. But until you show receipts that you have paid tens of thousands of dollars out for programs, for coaching, for courses, for mentorship, for communities, for access, and you ain't got no results, until you can prove that to me, what you saying don't mean nothing. It's irrelevant because it's just not true. I have coaching programs, I have online courses, but guess what? I pay for coaching. I pay for online courses. I pay for consultants. I pay people the same way people pay me. And everything that I get, I'm always going to get something out of it because I'm already committed to me. I'm committed to where I'm going. So it's ignorant. It's really ignorant, and it's really selfish of somebody to think that, especially when they have never found a mentor, aligned themselves with a mentor, got involved in the community, connected. And how do you connect? You do not connect with people if everything is free. It's really no real connection. Don't give me that. You can't say you're really connected to people. I learned this in ministry, because when you're in ministry, people don't charge you to connect with them necessarily. At least a lot of the people that I've been around, it's not like they charge you in ministry. They may charge you in business at the door, at the point of connecting. But a lot of times in ministry, it's different, where people let you connect. But you know, the people who thrive in certain communities, even in ministry, you know who are the people who grow and have success stories? The people who find and align, but they pay the price. They pay the price. I pay tens of thousands of dollars for coaching and for courses and for online programs and for mentorship, and to go to in-person events and to be a part of communities and masterminds. But guess what? The money that I've spent is like pennies compared to the money that I've made and the inspiration that I've gotten. So this is a power move for you. And listen, I hate this. I hate this. If it's one thing I hate to meet. So you'll notice if you ever meet me and this is you, you'll know not to tell me that. I hate this when I meet someone and they tell me they are a coach and they don't have a coach. Or they are a mentor and they don't have a mentor. Or they are this and they are that, and you don't have this or that in your life. I'm like, no, you're not. You're not that. Because the first rule would be for you to have what you are. That would be the first rule, for you to have what you are. Period. Across the board. If you're a leader, you should have a leader. If you are an influencer, you should have an influencer. If you're a coach, you should have a coach. If you're an educator, you should have an educator. It's like you should have everything you are. Period. If you don't have that, you haven't done the power move number 9. And last but not least, number 10. The 10th power move, and this is simple. 10th power move, number 10. Rinse, repeat, and reinvest. This is it. So my point is, you should take all 9 power moves and rinse them, meaning that you should be circling around. It should be like a cycle. Maybe that's not even a good example. It should be like this. It should be like an infinity. Come on, baby. It should be like an infinity. It should be like that. It should just be you're rinsing, you're rinsing, you're rinsing, you're rinsing, and then you start repeating. What are you repeating? The same thing. You're just rinsing, and maybe you circle around. You're just like creating this whole world, this matrix of, I'm just continuing to do this every day. So number one is your goals. So I'm going over my goals every day. You see what I'm saying? You're saving and storing. I'm making this a lifestyle. And then you reinvest. And what that means is you start putting money behind a lot of the things that you're doing, especially if you don't have money when you first started. Okay, when you start making money, start putting money behind your goals. What do you mean put money behind my goals? Well, take goal setting courses. Go to vision parties where they charge you $20 to come. Like, you could spend $20 and get in a room with 50 people who are doing vision boards, and you could just walk around and look at what people thinking and be like, man, that was worth 20 bucks. So you have to reinvest. You got to reinvest. You got to travel. You got to get in front of the right people. You got to pay to get in rooms, and don't hold your investment back because you're not willing to pay the money. So those are my 10 power moves for the new year. My hope and expectation is that you've gotten some value from these second 5. I want you to put in the comments what your biggest takeaway was from today's show. Put in the comments what your biggest takeaway was from today's show. And if you are interested in getting access to courses or programs that we have to help you with all of the power moves that I just talked about, all of them, beating the sun up. We have goal setting courses. We have courses on how to schedule your days. We have workshops and workbooks that you can use. We have templates that you can use to track your days and your schedule. When it comes to being committed and consistent, we have courses and programs for mentorship to hold you accountable. We have weekly coaching calls. We have quarterly workshops. We're getting ready to have one in a couple weeks. When it comes to you learning all the ins and outs of building a business system, having processes, expanding your company, hiring people, we teach you the ins and outs of being successful in your business and in your finances. And so I would love for you to be a part of one of our programs. All you have to do is text the word millionaire if you're interested in one of our programs, or maybe you just have some questions that you need to ask. I would be more than happy to answer any of those questions. All you have to do is text the word millionaire to 404-478-7213. The reason why I put this up here is because our goal this year is to get our Millionaire Blueprint, which is our signature program. We want to get it in the hands of at least 10,000 people. I know it's 10,000 people out there that need financial literacy. They need business training. They need education on wealth building and systems and processes and holding companies. They want to be millionaires. I know there are at least 10,000 people who want to be. As a matter of fact, there was a study that was just released yesterday that was showing how there were over 500 people that became billionaires in the last couple years since the pandemic. And they are projecting that within the next 3 years, by 2026, the number of millionaires will double. Think about that. The number of millionaires will double in the next 3 years. I personally think that number is going to double because a lot of those millionaires within the next 3 years are going to get a different type of education. They're going to learn online. They're going to have coaches. They're going to be a part of masterminds and mentorship communities, and they're going to accelerate. This is not going to just be, middle class people who just have a windfall or hit the lottery. It's going to be people who, they may be middle class, they may be poor class, but they're going to learn things that the rest of the world don't know, like the things that we teach, and they're going to accelerate. So I have a goal to reach 10,000 people this year and to give them access to our Millionaire Blueprint. So I want you to put a takeaway in the comments, or maybe you can post one on your website or on your social media page, and use the hashtag Millionaire Blueprint. We want to get the algorithms up on hashtag Millionaire Blueprint, because I know there are 10,000 people on this planet who need access to the #1 wealth building system online today, and that's the Millionaire Blueprint. So give me a text, give me a call right there, Millionaire, to 404-478-7213. I look forward to talking with you, answering your questions, and getting you onboarded to our program. So I love you, appreciate you. Thank you for joining the show today. I'll see you tomorrow, same place, same time, right here, 12 o'clock noon Eastern on the Ramonepreston Show.